So for this tutorial, let me make some clarifications before we start. 1. There is no fixed method to which you can take off any plant. The most important part is make sure you understand the basics, the principle, and apply it the best way you feel is easy for you. 2. On our drawing, at this point, you see is like a dotted line that shows like opening, but for every part of our drawing with this sign or door sign, there is always a foundation below the oversized concrete. So what I'm saying in essence is that for substructural taking off, make sure you consider that as a wall and there is foundation under it. Don't just ignore this part. So after oversized concrete, you can as well open up the part provided is an open space or anything. So with that being said, let's get into the taking off. In this tutorial, we'll be exploring how to take off for trench excavation of this simple plan. So what's trench excavation? Trench excavation is a process by which you make excavation below the ground level in order to accommodate our foundation. There are two major excavations. We have the horizontal excavation, under which our trench excavation falls, and we also have mass excavation, in which you have swimming pool, basement, and the like. So for this tutorial, let me make some clarifications before we start. 1. There is no fixed method to which you can take off any plant. The most important part is make sure you understand the basics, the principle, and apply it the best way you feel is easy for you. 2. On our drawing, at this point, you see is like a dotted line that shows like opening, but for every part of our drawing with this sign or door sign, there is always a foundation below the oversized concrete. So what I'm saying in essence is that for substructural taking off, make sure you consider that as a wall and there is foundation under it. Don't just ignore this part. So after oversized concrete, you can as well open up the part provided is an open space or anything. So with that being said, let's get into the taking off. So taking off process can be done in two ways. 1. You use the general formula, that's 2L plus B minus 40, or you take each of the measurements one by one and add them together. So you can as well do it the best way you feel is convenient for you. So I'll be using the general formula. I'm going to be dividing this excavation measurement into two. 1, the external and the internal. So let's go with the external first. So this is going to be our width and this is going to be our length. Now we have 2L plus B minus 40. 2 into bracket 10,200 as our length, 18,900 as our width, minus 40, that's the thickness, 225, that's thickness of our wall, 225. So a quick one, why do we less or remove 40? Assuming this is our wall, don't forget this is our width and this is our length, and the width of our excavation is 675. If you are not given, you can as well multiply the thickness of your wall by 3. So 225 inside and 225 outside. So now we are going to be excavating along this line and also excavating along this line. So now the reason why we remove 40 is this along our length, this side has been opened up already, so there is no need to consider this part again. It's going to result to double measurement once we do that. So that's why we are removing 40. So for every junction here, so this part is gone already, this and this, so same as the other two sides. So that's why we remove 40. Now we have 29,100 multiplied by 2, we have 58,200 minus 900, that's 4 multiplied by 225, and the total is 57,300. Now we are done with our external trenches, but mind you, we consider this as a perfect rectangle. But if you notice our plan, we have a recess at this point. We are going to be deducting this when we get to the point we are going to be booking our measurement. Now let's get to internal trenches. Internal trenches is divided into two as well. We have the vertical and the horizontal. You can as well do it any way you like, but for educational purpose, I'm trying to divide it into two so it can be easy and convenient for everyone. Now we have vertical trenches. So this are the vertical one. What we consider as length under external excavation is going to be our vertical trenches, and what we consider as width at the external takeoff is going to be our horizontal. Now let's get into it. First one, we are going to be getting the length of this one. If you see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of this, so 2,775 plus this opening 225 plus 4050 plus this 225 as well plus 2,475. We have 9,750. But mind you, as I explained the other time, so let's come here again. So assuming this is our internal trenches, so it's connect with the external here, and mind you, this place has already been opened up. This part has been opened up when we are excavating for our external trenches. So in order to avoid double measurement, we are going to be removing this for this part and also for this part as well. So that's 2 of 225. We have 2 multiplied by 225. That's what we have here, 450. So we are going to be removing 450 from 9,750, and we have 9,300 as our length from this point to this point. So we have 4 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4. We are going to be multiplying by 4. So we have 37,200. Another thing, if you notice this point, you can either consider this as external or internal. Assume that this point is at this point here. So this 1,200 is at this point. While I was doing the external excavation, so I consider this as external. So I'm going to be consider from this point to this point as internal. So you can as well consider this as external and this vertical length of 1,005 as internal. Or better still, you take the measurement from this part up to this point and you go in, you go out, and you continue your measurement. I hope that's clear. So let's continue. Now we are done with these 4 vertical ones. Let's go to the other one. So we have how many? 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 1. We have another 1. That's making it 6. Okay, so let's go to the other one. Again, we have 1,005. That's from this point up to this point. That's 1,005. We do the same thing. Less 450. That is this part and this part. So 450 minus 1,500. We have 1,050. Moving on. So we come to this part where we have 4,200. We do the same thing. Less 225 and 225, making 450. So 450 minus the first one. So 4,200 minus 450. We have 3,750. And we have in 2 places. So this is 1 and this is 2. So that's what we have here. Now we are done with vertical trenches. So you can as well mark them in order not to get confused. So this is done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 2 here plus 1. We have 3 plus 4, 7. That's it. So let's come to horizontal trenches. So we start from the master bedroom. So we are going to be taking this to this point. So 2,175 plus 225 plus 1,002. That's 3,600. That's the total length. We are going to be deducting 2 of 225. That's 450 from 3,600. We have 3,150. And we have this in 2 places. 1, 2. That's what we have here. So moving on, we have 1,500. This part, so let me change the color so we can mark this as done. So 1, 2, done. So we come to 1,500. We are going to be doing the same thing. 1,500 minus 450. We have 1,050. This is done. So moving on, we have this 3,000 and we have in 4 places. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. So 3,000 minus 450. That's 2,550. So when you multiply 2,550 by 4, you have 10,200. This is done. Then we have 1,200 again. So this one, remember we've considered this as external here. So we have this one, 1,002 minus 450. We have 750. Done. So let's try and mark them. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we are done with that. So this, we are done with this also. So now the last one. So from this point to this point, remember I said earlier that this place we are going to be having foundation below the overside concrete. So we are going to be extending this up to this point. So we are taking the whole length from this point to this point. So we have 5,935. If you check from this point to this point, so deduct 450 from it, we have 5,475. So the total horizontal trenches, we have 23,775 mm, and if you check for vertical, we have 45,750 mm. So now we are going to be adding the 3 together. Total quantity of our trenches, so we have 57,300 plus 45,750 plus 23,775. When we add the 3 together, we have 126,825. So now we are done with the gap. That's the total length of our excavation. You know, trench excavation is measured in meter cube, so we need to find our width and also our depth. So let's find our width. The architect is going to provide such information, so let's check if there is provision for this. Okay, excavation, we have 0.675 after converting to meter, so we have 675 mm. So coming here, we have 675 mm. Now let's try and find the depth of our excavation. So from the overside concrete up to the concrete footing, bottom of the concrete footing, we have 1,000 mm as our depth. So we need to make adjustment for some things. One, we are going to be deducting this concrete slab, which is 150 is given. We have 150. We are going to be removing. So remember as well that we've removed topsoil excavation from this part. Out of this one, this is natural ground level. Remember we removed 150 topsoil excavation, so we are going to be removing that. So now we have from this point downward now. So this part up to natural ground level was not given. what are we going to do? You can easily prorata in order to get that one. You use the unknown to get the known, or if you are using any software, you can take the measurement from this point to natural ground level. Okay, after I've done the prorata, we have 150. So from this point to this point is 150. From this bottom of oversized concrete up to the natural ground level is 150. So we are going to be removing 150 as well. So this is 450 minus 1000. We have 550 as our depth. What we are going to be excavating from the bottom of our topsoil remover up to the bottom of concrete footing is going to be 550 Now we are done with the taking off. So let's book our measurement. Now this is a coding right from BESMM 4. So you can as well check the coding from the BSMM. So let's try and open our BSMM to follow along. Okay, now let's go through the BSMM 4 in order to get our coding. So we have 1.5, that's excavating and filling. So this is 1.5 excavating and filling. Number 6, excavation. So we have 6 excavation 2.1.0. So we have excavation commencing level stated if not original. So commencing from strip level since we are doing strip foundation. And 2, we have foundation excavation. It's either we have bulk excavation, that's when you do for swimming pool, basement and so on. So we have foundation excavation 1. So you measure 1, so not exceeding 2 meter deep. Since the depth of our foundation is 550, that's 550 is not up to 2 meters, so is less than or not exceeding 2 meters. So our coding is 1.5.6.2.1. Since there is nothing near 0, so we have this here now. So this is our booking 126.83. The total here, the width of our excavation. So this is going to be our length, width and depth. So 126.83. the width of our foundation like we have here 0.68, and the depth of our excavation as we have here 550, that is 0.55. deduct. Now we'll be deducting this part. We took our measurement as a perfect rectangle. Now we need to deduct this to avoid over measurement. So we are going to be deducting, this is our width and this is our length. So we are going to be deducting our length, that's 5775 less 450. So we have 5.18. The same width is 0.68. The same depth is 0.55. Now we are done with our taking off. So you are going to be repeating the same coding for both of them. Okay, for example, you are under exam tension. You can easily replace this as ABD as before described and you close. I hope this is clear, and until when next I'll be seeing you in another tutorial. You're welcome.